Lights green, since we don't have a podium necessarily.
And I may not. I'm waiting to
okay.
get a response, but I just found out.
Got it. Found out.
It is now 5:33, and I would like to call the January 20th special meeting of the Board of Education to order. Pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bucher, Mr. Herrera, Mrs. Hauk, Ms. Mayville, Mrs. Reed Nemec,
Here.
Mrs. Whitcomb, Mr. Zickert.
Do I have a motion to go into closed executive session regarding Section 2, Heading C, Exception, Subnumber 1 of the Open Meetings Act to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body? Member Herrera made the motion and Member Zickert seconded the motion to go into executive session. Roll call, please.
Mr. Herrera. Mr. Zickert. Mr. Bucher. Mrs. Hauk. Mrs. Whitcomb. Mrs. Reed Nemec.
Aye. It is now 5:41 and we are out of closed executive session. At this time, we will reconvene the special meeting. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bucher. Mr. Herrera.
Here.
Mrs. Hauk. Ms. Mayville. Mrs. Reed Nemec.
Here.
Mrs. Wickham.
Here.
Mr. Zickert.
Here.
In consideration for the two roll call items that we have this evening, if no one has any objections, we will be taking roll call item number 2. Chief Financial Officer contract out of order and doing it now prior to presentations. Does anyone have any objections to that? Okay. Do I have a motion regarding the Chief Financial Officer contract?
We're learning. We're gonna get it.
Joanne Armstrong
Armstrong.
is Chief Financial Officer.
Okay, Chief Financial Officer. Sorry, we're, having to fill in the gaps here on our
Second.
And do you have an effective date for your motion? The
Effective
3rd
First, start on
of 20.
2022.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Herrera. Member Herrera made a motion and Member Whitcomb seconded the motion to approve the employment contract for Joanne Armstrong as Chief Financial Officer effective the 31st of January, 2022. Is that the correct motion, Mr. Herrera? Okay. Any discussion?
We're very excited.
Absolutely. Can you turn on your mic, please?
I just want to say, myself and others, I want to say I was very impressed skill set, very impressed by her experience, the jobs and duties she's throughout her career and has built upon. So I'm very confident in the skill set that we're looking for, confidence.
I'd like to say as well, welcome, Ms. Armstrong. I had the opportunity as well as Mr. Herrera to be part of your second interview. And I would like to say one of the statements that you made, a lot of them resonated with me. But one statement, because I am a question asker, everybody knows that. Everybody can tell you I ask way too many questions, but I'm a person that likes to understand and have a really good foundation of understanding. And one of the statements that you made was, there are no dumb questions, only the ones that go unasked. And, you know, that obviously wasn't the only thing that resonated with me, but I really hear your passion in the way that you speak for your job and the way that you speak about relationships with people within your department, as well as people from administration, all the way down to custodians, to paraprofessionals. And I'm really looking forward to having you come on board. Thank you.
I just wanted to say, I think it's a very that we have a legacy. So I think it's us, right, that we a lot of things right that someone say I started here. So
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Herrera, Mrs. Whitcomb,
Aye.
Mrs. Hauk,
Aye.
Mr. Zickert,
Aye.
Mr. Bucher, Mrs. Reed Nemick.
Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Now, moving back to the presentations. Yes, thank you.
Get some rest, you're gonna need it. But you already took the job. no matter how it's done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, see you week Monday.
So moving back to the next portion of our agenda is the presentations of superintendent search proposal presentations. Yep, we will stay online and we will wait. The first presentation starts at 6:50. Oh, 5:50, I'm sorry, 5:50.
I wonder if I should turn that set of lights on and this off.
But they might be able to see the presentation better.
I don't know.
Right, they only live like 8.
That people watching see. I don't even know how many people are watching. Maybe I'll come tell you because there might not be. I'm ready when you
Don't
are.
let them know they can take their mask.
Good evening. We will start our first presentation with HYA appearing in person this evening. If you would like to remove your mask while you're speaking, you can do so. We have enough social distancing here.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting us. My name is Glenn Schilling. I'm with Hazard Young. I'm going to take a lot of time with introductions. Ken, can you hear me? Okay, so my partner Ken Art is on the phone, so he'll be here with us as well. You do have the full PowerPoint that was sent to you, the PDF. I'm going to go through that in like 4 minutes, okay, because I want to have time for your questions. So I'm going to take like about 5 months of work that we do into 4 minutes for you. Okay? So basically, I'm Glenn Schilling and Ken Art. We both are former superintendents. Superintendent 15 years in school district. Wisconsin. Ken has been a superintendent in a number of districts in Illinois. And we've done a number of searches in the area. It's a little bit about our company. You can see that in the presentation. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. And basically, I hope I didn't give the wrong one. I think I gave you the wrong presentation. I think I put the full one in there. But I'm going to kind of go through this quickly. And one of the things we want to do is we want to understand who your stakeholders are when we do the search. So that's part of our search. And I'm going to go through a quick, here's the overview. I'm trying to talk really fast, so I'm going to slow down a little bit. So we do the engage, the recruit, select, and the transition. So I'm going to go through all 4 of those rather quickly for you. So the first part is the engage phase. So I have here steps 1, steps 2, steps 3, and step 4. So those are the steps, and that's where the first thing we do is if we are selected, the first thing we will do is we will write a job description. We want to get that posted as quickly as possible so we can start getting that information out to candidates in a number of venues. We want it on our website, we want it on your website, we want it in social media, and we want it also on educational professional sites as well. Our website, we post every position. If we do not get this assignment, we will still post this position. For that is we get a lot of traffic to our website because every superintendent job and other jobs are posted at the HYA website. What that means is that there are some superintendents out there, potential superintendents, that are always looking, but they're not actively seeking. So they come to our site because they know all the jobs are there. So if your position pops up, they go, you know what, that might be a good district for me. And so that way we get a lot of traffic and our recruiting is very high. Once we do the job proposal with the board, you approve that proposal that we post, and then we create the timeline. We create that timeline of the steps that we're going to do and we're going to follow with you. Okay, that's part of the engage phase. And then once the timeline is set, that's when we start engaging people in your community, all your stakeholders. Depending on which ones you choose, you can select. Some boards like to restrict number of stakeholders, others like to expand. But generally, what we do is we meet with teachers, administrators, we meet with every board member, parents, we meet with community members, civic organizations. We collect a lot of data and information. And that's the engage phase. Okay. So as we're doing the focus groups, also screening candidates. The purpose of the focus groups is like all that information, create a profile. Now I have a sample of that. I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but that profile is about a 20-25 page report on your district. It's one I did recently. If you want, I can pass it around. Okay. Profile is all the information that we gather from all of your constituents, all your stakeholders, and then I begin to code all that information. So that gives you the themes of the district, strengths of the district, the challenges for the district, what you wish to see in a new superintendent. All those things are coded for you. That helps us target the candidates that would best fit your district. And you can see the coding is there, some of it's graphs. We also offer an online survey through Hazard and Young. It's a high research-based survey. It's basically copyrighted, so that some districts elect to use that. others not, and if they don't, then sometimes it's cost addition. So there are the questions that the stakeholders respond to. Strengths of the district, challenges, characteristics of the superintendent, highest priority for the first year, and that gives you an overview, very useful, not just for the search for the superintendent, but setting goals moving forward. Sometimes districts are surprised about the information from This is a sample of just a brief part of what with the themes. As you can see, all of those on the left, it's just a small part of what the coding is. And then on the right is what the graphs would look like. So it could be, communication could be an issue, could be curriculum. One of those things could be a strength. One of those could be a weakness. One of those could be something that you seek in a superintendent. And then during the recruit phase, we screening the applicants out to know that would be a good fit. We have a lot of connections. Illinois, and Southern Wisconsin, associates, out to people in the group in addition to screening the applicants. We use our network as we screen them to vet the candidates, make sure that and them to you that they are done with our initial screening, then we bring a slate to the board, about 6 or 7. All of the resumes, applications. So if you look at somebody and say, why did this person make a slate? We give you that information. What does it have about that person? Who are the deciding factors? Or that is elected from the district. So once we present the slate, then the board interviews the slate and selects 3 finalist candidates. Finalist candidates elected the day in the district, the day where they meet members and teachers by feedback to the board. Decision or say who they like best, they just give feedback to you about each of the candidates. The board meets with those 3 candidates again, and overall. That, and we're there with you for the. That is everything within a few minutes. So I went through that rather quickly for you. Okay. So I wanted to leave enough time for
A question in regards to within the past couple of years, it's been very different because of the COVID, environment. So you might need to go back more than a couple of years with this answer. How many superintendents have you placed in districts that are similar to our demographics, both in enrollment and culture demographics?
what is your size here?
Our size is around 7,000
1,000?
students,
Pardon?
around 7,000 students for enrollment. Mhm.
We do districts anywhere from, we've done as low as 600 all the way up to 45,000. So recently in Wisconsin, we did Green Bay, we did Fond du Lac, which is a very large district. So it's not as large as this, right? And in Illinois, what are the large districts that? Also did California, which we have the support from our officer in Concord. Well, basically, we with the focus group. That's been very helpful. Because of COVID, most people now are very comfortable starting it. But because of COVID, there are most people that everybody. So we could do, for instance, I did the board interviews by phone. Did do on site. At the beginning of the probably right in the middle. How do you that make it more difficult? Good size pool. I think there's and then you get the leapfrog. So it takes the superintendent from this district, now that district needs somebody. But there's still a lot of really good candidates out there. And you're in a good spot because you will draw from Illinois, obviously, you draw from Southern. You're in a really good place. Attractive area. District. So I think you're going to attract, I'm pretty sure, all the other. As far as your position, yes, some of them started early in the fall, but as I said, that actually generates candidates that we could, a stronger candidate pool to press that. Because when we, for instance, late we just talked to one of the, or a few districts, we had really strong candidates. And we said, we want to make it difficult. So there were candidates in there where they could hire 4 people. 1. So then we have more information about those candidates. That's finished. We refer them to us. There will be a richer pool because people will have their applications already. They'll be out there, be marketed. States, one of the other districts we did in Wisconsin. Then everybody on this slate is going to be a superintendent. Know that, that's something. But who's going to get who is good? To answer that question, I think there's a good pool of candidates. I think you're in a good spot. I think waiting, start getting into May and June, then it gets difficult. You're still in really good shape.
Anybody else have any questions? We're at 6:05. Mr. Herrera, okay?
One more question.
Yep.
Glenn. You mentioned your survey. What did that get out of that?
I have, this is a completed one that we did in here. Which basically gives you, this gives you a good profile of your district. Usually, through the online surveys, we get a lot more information. that does is it questions and then it correlates it so that how everybody responded, how did that all come together to top 4 things that you'll see there, you'll see the top 4 categories. Some districts really like it, they use it, they put it, penny, or goals and profile plus you get the full. That one is specific to each one, copyright. Else? Ken, do you want to add anything?
Thank you both for attending this evening.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good luck on your search.
Thank you. Next, we have joining us Educational Leadership Solutions. They'll be joining us virtually.
Hi, hello, good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Is it okay to begin?
Absolutely.
Yes, good evening, board. Thank you so much for the opportunity to meet with you this evening. We appreciate your flexibility in allowing us to either present to you virtually and or in person, and this just happened to work out extremely well for us, so thank you. My name is Gary Zabilka. I am one of the partners for Educational Leadership Solutions, and I will let my colleague, Ms. Dr. Lubefeld, introduce himself while I put up our screen for our presentation.
Good evening, and thank you so much for allowing us to come in and see you this evening. I'm Mike Lubelfeld, Superintendent of Schools, North Shore School District 112 in Highland Park in Lake County. I'm in my 12th year as a school superintendent. I've been a facilitator of the IASA Aspiring Superintendent Academy for 7 years. I've also run a National Aspiring Superintendent Academy for 5 years. I'm very proud to have achieved awards in professional service, and también hablo español y tengo un programa doble lenguaje aquí en mi distrito. I speak Spanish, and I'm very familiar with the needs of ELs. We have a 2-language program here in my district.
Thanks, Mike. And again, my name is Gary Zabilka. I'm one of the partners for EDLS. And I too am I am a retired superintendent, was in 2 districts in both Morton Grove and in Downers Grove for a total of 13 years in the superintendency. I currently am serving as a field service director for the Illinois Association of School Administrators. In this role, I coach and mentor superintendents across the state. I've also served as an adjunct professor at Loyola University, and I also run ISA School of Advanced Leadership for superintendents. We share these things with you only to say that we are extremely connected, networked, and that we have the potential to bring many, many candidates to your district. Just very briefly about our firm. We're a consulting firm. We do administrator searches, which is what we are offering the proposal for you tonight. We offer coaching and mentoring for superintendents. We do strategic planning for districts, and then we also do data analyses for districts in many different capacities. Our firm has 13 associates, even though as a part of your search, Mike and I would serve as your lead consultants in the Belvedere search, should we be fortunate enough to get this search. These are associates who, when we get a search, we believe all of our associates get the search. We've got people all over the state who work for us and know superintendents, know quality superintendents, because a big part of what we're able to do is recruit superintendents, especially during a time like now where if superintendents are not leaving, they're staying firm where they are. And as such, they oftentimes need to be recruited in order to know about a quality position such as yours in Belvedere. I'm going to turn this over to Mike, and he's going to share with you a bit about our process.
So what's really neat about working with us, and we hope you do, and we appreciate the opportunity to share, is that we'll take you through 3 phases in the process of the superintendent search. Obviously, your unique needs, your desired qualities, your leadership profile, the candidate that matches your mission of empowering all learners to achieve personal excellence is really what we're seeking and who we're seeking. And when it comes to recruitment, we use a number of tools at our disposal. The job bank from the association, we've got our website. We will do direct recruitment of candidates who are going to fit the leadership profile with the desired characteristics that you put forth. We also do have an ability to email all Illinois superintendents, and we're a really connected group, and we try to help other folks who are looking for opportunities know where to go. We also listen to you. The whole point of our work is facilitating your process. We're here to help you refine the qualities and characteristics that you and your community seek and desire in the superintendent of schools. We meet with the stakeholders that you see fit. We can suggest, we can talk back about past practice, meet with teachers, labor organizations, Chamber of Commerce, Rotary, parents, students, senior citizens. You know, we work with you on that and we get some feedback. We also have questions that we've prepared with our experiences and knowing some of the research about executive searches and human resources to find out a way that we can distill these desired characteristics into a leadership profile. We're then going to take some information. Now, once we start getting some information, we get to know you, we get to know what you're looking for, what the community is looking for. All of a sudden, we can start refining the profile of these prospective candidates. We rate the answers of the candidates on the scales. We compile these, and we'll show you a really neat set apart of our firm in a moment. We do some reference checking. We talk to actual people that have either supervised or worked directly with, and we've got a pretty wide network, not just in Illinois, but in the Midwest. We do a criminal background check. You just want to check under, under the nooks and crannies. And obviously we'll conduct an internet search to find out what's going on, what's in the news. But here's what I think is one of the greatest features of Ed Leadership Solutions. We are going to be able to help you be informed by telling you a story with data. This is something different than what a lot of folks do. We've got our radar diagram that is going to help overlay our 6 semifinalists. That's typically who we bring forth to you from the pool. And we'll be able to talk with you and show you where these folks rate in terms of your desired characteristics from the overall impression, from their knowledge of curriculum and instruction, from the alignment with your vision and your values, their educational philosophy. How do they collaborate with others? How do they communicate? Where are they with student-centeredness? And what are their leadership styles? That is going to help us make an informed decision using multiple points of data, information that you want us to find out. And we also have a plus delta where we find out what do we want to learn a little more about, where are we looking for some changes. So it's a really comprehensive search process. And ultimately, we help you through the interview process and the selection process and guide you through it. But it's really tailor-made to your needs, your interests, and what the Belvedere community is searching for right now.
So basically, I'm sorry, Mike, go ahead and I'll take the next one. I'm sorry.
No, absolutely. We could be present with you in the final interviews, and we can coach and guide and be consultants on the side. We can help lead. We can meet with you after. Again, a lot of this goes to what is your comfort level? Where are you going? But what's neat is you've got feedback from stakeholders. You've got a leadership profile and survey questions. You've got ratings, and we've got the radar chart. So we're going to really help you make a very informed decision that's aligned with what you're seeking. Gary, thank you.
Sure. And although we work with you to help solicit input from your various stakeholders, community members, staff members, et cetera, we remind everyone that the decision-making of the selection of the next superintendent rests solely with the board. So this is simply for you to be able to hear exactly what everybody's saying and asking about what they'd like to see in their next superintendent, but the selection is all of yours. So you've got all of these data tools to help you select. And hopefully then, after seeing 6 candidates, reducing that list of 6 candidates to a possibility of 2 or 3, and then adding a stakeholder group to interview the candidates then also. Hopefully those pieces, as well as the data piece that goes along with that, will help you select your next superintendent. Upon doing so, then you begin to determine a contract for yourselves that you would like to offer your next superintendent. We offer a salary analysis that if you'd like to see how your district squares in relation to other similar districts, either across the state or in your region, it would help you to then determine what would be a reasonable salary to pay your superintendent, if that's some extra advice that you would like. And then finally, we'd ask you then to contact your attorney to help you finalize that contract. Finally, our presence is not over once you select your superintendent. We're available to coach or mentor your superintendent for a year beyond that. We offer a 2-year guarantee that anybody that you hire will stay in your district for 2 years. If for some reason something does not work out and they should leave before 2 years, we actually would go through this process again for you free of charge, with the exception of expenses. The other piece is, and oftentimes this question does come up, is that if we've recruited candidates to be your superintendent, do you have to be concerned about us recruiting your superintendent to go somewhere else at some point? That you need not be concerned about. They're hands off once we have placed them in your district. Our process is a customized search whereby we will work with you. Again, we've got practices that we have known to work. We'll share those with you. That's why we're consultants for you. However, if you've got ways that you would like us to interject in our processes, we can discuss those and talk about how we can streamline this to best meet your needs in Belvedere. We'll look at a timeline as to when you'd like to have your superintendent hired by, and then we'll work backwards in establishing dates along the way as to what we need to accomplish when. I've already mentioned the salary analysis piece to it. Also, the fact that this would be a confidential search process. That meaning that even though it's a transparent process to your community, it's confidential by way of the names of the candidates that we would be talking with and to about your district up until you offer the position to somebody. Finally, the selection of candidates is strictly aligned to the data that we collect along the way in the process. Just as Mike outlined as he was talking about our process, we don't just pick candidates that people know and or like. We see exactly what you are looking for Belvedere from a skill, quality, and characteristic manners, and we include those in as a part of our process. This is just a snapshot of a table that we would complete in working with you to establish that timeline. We've already mentioned the free mentoring and coaching that we have available for whoever you should select for your next superintendent. And then finally, the fees were included in the proposal that we have, but our overall basic fees, if you will, are what you see there on this particular screen on this slide. We do offer some options that you have a choice of as to whether or not you would like to consider national advertising. Now, a district of your size and stature and quality may want to go beyond the Illinois borders. We have connections with the American Association of School Administrators, Education Week, et cetera. We can do additional advertising with them that we basically carry the cost directly from the school district to those advertising agents. In other words, there's no add-ons from us, but there is an extra cost for that. We can also do a more thorough criminal background check for you. We have professionals that go beyond the normal criminal background check that you may even do in your district for your employees. That could be an add-on if you would like. And then finally, we've mentioned this before, the salary analysis, if you'd like to see where your district is in the compensation realm for paying your superintendent. Our firm is one that's committed to excellence. Our reputation is excellent, and we hope to have that continue. Basically, we'll work with you until you have a satisfied solution. In other words, the superintendent that you would like. And then finally, if the candidate does not complete at least 2 years, I've already mentioned the guarantee that we can offer for you. So with that, we'd like to open it up to any questions that you have. Thank you so much for this opportunity. We're ready for any questions that you may have for us.
Since we are running into the next time, does anyone have any very specific questions or questions that you may not have from the proposal or included in the proposal? Huh?
If you could back up a couple of slides, illustrating the additional costs, services, such as national advertising.
I'm sorry, was there a question? If there was, we couldn't make it out.
We didn't catch it.
I don't know if you can hear me, but I was seeing if you can put it back on the. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you a little bit better now, yes.
Yes. I was hoping if you could just back up to slide where you were showing the cost of the additional fees for national advertising.
I'm afraid I couldn't hear the question. I apologize.
Yes, I asked it. I did hear you wanted to see this slide, I believe. I didn't know if there was a question about it, if you just wanted to see it again.
I do have a question on that.
Sure, please.
Here's what we have on proposal. The proposal mentions 2,000, or is it?
Well, I'm sorry, the sound quality is going in and out. I'm not sure if there's someone that's a little bit closer to a microphone that can repeat the question for us so that we can hear it a little bit better. I'm so sorry.
I'll try to repeat the question. The question was from Board Member Herrera. Can you hear me better?
Perfectly.
Oh, perfectly fine. Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to try to summarize. So on this summary sheet here, the comprehensive salary analysis listed at 1,000 as an additional cost. On the proposal that we had, there was an analysis indicated at a $2,000 additional cost. Are those both the same thing, or is there something additional on the actual proposal that we received earlier?
I am so sorry. It is $1,000 as it is on this slide. It is not $2,000. I'm not sure if that's a typo or why it came across that way. My apologies.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Thank you.
Good catch. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you joining us this evening. We will be in contact after tonight's board meeting in regards to the board action.
Thank you so much for your time.
Again, thank you. Have a good evening, board, and good luck to you.
Thank you. Next, we have School Exec Connect. They'll be presenting in person. Thank you for thank you for coming this evening. We'll get the lights on.
That's why you're here. We're board meeting junkies. Nice to see all of you. Thank you for having us and School Exec Connect. I'm Dr. Tim Schiff. And so Dr. Kelly Galt. We have one other individual, Dr. Phil Salemi, who will not be here this evening, will not be joining us, but will be part of the search. My understanding is that you have the presentation that I forwarded this morning. So we're going to walk through that as you have the larger proposal, and I'll reference that periodically, but mainly the presentation that you have in front of you. So first about myself, I'm currently in my 9th year as school superintendent in Yorkville School District. We're very similar size to you. We're about 6,700 kids and growing. I'm in as I said, my 9th year. Prior to that, I've been in the district for 15, overseeing K-12 curriculum, and I've been a high school principal. You can look at all the different organizations I'm a part of, as well as on the bottom, I am a senior associate for School Exec Connect. This would be going into my 8th search. Most recently, I finished Kildare 96. have recently done Elmhurst 205, which is a similar size, Barrington 220, 59, which in Elk Grove, which is a similar size. And you can see the other ones. Out of those searches, 3 of those candidates have been minority candidates that we have placed, that I've been involved with. 5 of them have been female superintendents or administrators. So that's from a gender perspective and certainly from a ethnicity perspective. I'm going to turn over to Dr. Galt.
Good evening. So I am currently the superintendent in Lake Zurich Community Unit School District 95. We have about 5,800 students, so close in size. We are a unit district, just as you are. I think that's important to point out. I have previously served the districts that I have been a part of as chief academic officer, as an assistant superintendent for teaching and learning. Most of my experience has been in the curriculum and instruction world prior to becoming a superintendent. I've been director. I've also been an elementary school principal, an assistant principal, a differentiation specialist, and a classroom teacher. So had many experiences. We both are a part of the large unit district association, which I think is really important to state. Additionally, a member of AASA, I was on the ground floor of starting the Women's Midwest Leadership Planning team or organization and team. And so have done some presentations and retreats to support female leaders. I've also been a professor, an adjunct professor for Aurora University, taking this semester off so that I could focus on at least one search. And then I am a member of the School Exec Connect group. I also wanted to say this is actually my second time in Belvedere. I did have the opportunity several years ago, as I was working on my dissertation, to interview your superintendent. I had an opportunity to come in, get to know your district a little bit. So I did request to be a part of the search team because I have to tell you, I was so impressed when I first walked in. The sign on the door says you had won a great place to work. And I thought, that's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that on the door of a school district before. And as I walked in, I could tell the people here loved serving Belvedere, and then had a lovely conversation with the superintendent and was excited when I came back and sitting in the audience to hear that you just hired back someone. And I think that does speak volumes to the type of school district that you are. So I'm excited to be here this evening.
Before we go through the process, and you're going to hear, I would assume, from all the search firms, very similar processes. I think what's going to be different is Kelly and I. We are current superintendents. We are in districts that are similar to your districts. My district, demographic-wise, is very similar. We are superintendents who have been serving through a pandemic. We are certain superintendents who are ready, who are going to be prepared when this individual takes over in July. We also will be preparing for next year. So when we talk about the interviews, when we talk about who the candidates we're looking for, when we have conversations about proficiency grading and competency-based grading, which all you're involved with in your programming that you have here, we can talk the language. We're not retired superintendents right now. We understand the needs of a superintendent. We understand, we work with current, obviously, boards of education. To me, there's a difference. And we certainly understand a size district like yours. We're going to be with this individual once they're hired as LUTA colleagues. So the mentoring that's going to happen, if you call the Elmhurst superintendent that recently has been placed, she will tell you that Kelly and I stay in contact with her. So that mentoring has not stopped because I was involved in that and Kelly was involved in helping her prepare and getting her that role. So I want to make that very clear. We've done a lot of roles. Kelly's been an elementary principal. I've been a high school principal. We've both been K-12 curriculum specialists. So it's very, I think it's something that would separate us from some of the other firms that you might talk to tonight. As far as School Exec Connect, so on the proven excellence, as you can see, I've been in business for a long time. Hundreds of searches across the country, 60 plus consultants across the country. We've completed every search on time and within budget. We have never been sued. We've never taken a candidate to a board where they've had to go back then because of a failed background check or something like that. So we do our due diligence on the front end. 96% success rate. meaning they're good standing after their first contract. And obviously, we provided you some of the list of references of districts your size. The compensation fee, we do also a compensation report. We don't charge that. That's part of the fee that we've included for the search. So when you talk about a salary compensation with like districts or comparables, we will work with the board to identify those and then put those, get those in the hands of you fairly early in the process. So then if you turn to our search plan, there's 4 phases. And we're going to go right to the slide that says search plan and has phase A and B. Time is ticking. So if after tonight, we're hoping you're going to select us and we're going to get to work. We're going to have to schedule a meeting with all of you very quickly as a planning meeting to create that timeline. And we're going to create it from that board meeting until we at least determine our best guess of when we want to have this person approved by the board. And we're going to try and get all those dates on the calendar, talk about what type of process, whether it's a closed and open process, whether you want stakeholder groups or not stakeholder groups. So we're going to do that at that planning meeting. So all of you walk out knowing exactly what the next steps are. Right after that, we're going to begin our interviews. And it's going to be a variety. When I was in Kildare recently, this first semester, I think we did 37 focus groups. It was extensive. 37 is a lot. Elmhurst was probably more 17, 18. But again, it's going to be the discussion that we have with all of you at that planning meeting to determine what focus groups and how many we're going to do. And it'll be a hybrid approach. Staff seem to gravitate more towards the face-to-face right after school. Parents have seemed to gravitate more towards the online. And then board members, typically we do one-on-ones, but we've had some boards who've said they want to come together as a collective group to do them, or they do a collective group, but then they branch off to do individual ones. And those can be over phone, Zoom, or in person. From there, we'll develop a new superintendent back up. While that's going on, those focus groups, we're gonna have an online survey that's out there that'll identify the strengths and attributes that you're looking for in the next superintendent, some of the challenges and barriers that the stakeholders perceive they may encounter as they take their position, some of the priorities the stakeholders have identified for the new superintendent, and then what are those skills, backgrounds, and attributes that your community and all of you are looking for. So that survey will be going as the focus groups are going. Once they all come together and close, we will come back to you with a new superintendent profile and a community engagement report. You heard HYA and they showed you a packet, a 20-page document. We have something very similar, more like a qualitative study and analysis with charts and graphs, and then a narrative that we'll provide all of you. If the board would like to see a copy of that, we can certainly send you an example that we've used. Then we will come to you with a profile at a board meeting, usually 12 to 13 themes and characteristics that your community has identified through the survey and through the focus groups that you say you want in your next leader. From there, you'll approve it, and then we move on to phase C. This is the advertising piece of it. Much like some of the other firms have shared, we will go through AASA. We will look at Education Week. We also go through the National Alliance of Black School Educators. We also go through the Association of Latin American Superintendents Association. School Exec Connect this past fall at the school board conference. We did a aspiring superintendent for minorities session. We had about 20 attendees. So we have identified future leaders out of that group. The state now is talking to us about doing that at the state level for them. Obviously through the universities, we found a niche that we have contacts, or the owner of the School Exec Connect that works for Concordia. We have connections at AU, we have connections at University of St. Francis. So we also reach out to our colleagues and professors there and talk about who are in your programs, who is receiving their dissertation or doctorate this at this time of the year, who is finishing their superintendency endorsement. So we go that avenue, as well as ASAA, as well as the email blast across the country or across the state. So those things, and our costs are very similar. 1,400 is about the average when we do a search. We will also be tapping people on the shoulder. Once we know what your community wants, we will be actively recruiting people. Kelly and I are actively involved in our organizations. We are sitting superintendents. We talk to assistant superintendents. We talk to other superintendents. We have a large network between us. Kelly's been in a variety of districts. I've been in three other districts before here, or before the one I'm in. So we do have a large network as well. So once we do all the screenings, we will likely interview between 15 and 20 candidates. We'll bring 5 to 7 back to you at a closed session board meeting. We will do an overview of each. We'll give you a summary and analysis of each. We like to treat internals and externals the same if you were to have any internals. And then we would have that discussion with the board on what that means moving forward as they go through the process. From there, we would provide a interview training for the board if that's of a desire, just to talk about the do's and the don'ts, what a process could look like, should look like. We can help create the schedule for that, as well as produce example questions for all of you, or be the ones to generate the questions you have, put them in a summary form, and then distribute them back out as you prepare for the interviews. And lastly, then, working with all of you, with the stakeholder groups, to finalize reference checks. We do that along the way, but certainly as we get to the end, we like to ask each of the candidates to give us 12 individuals that weren't on their original reference check. And many times each board member will take 2 of those and make the calls, so they can get a different perspective than Kelly and I can get. Some boards choose to say, well, you and Kelly go ahead and call and we'll do that. That'll be up to the board to decide, but we do a thorough reference check. And then you'll see on the last page of our document, we also, there's a thorough background check for $750. That would be an additional cost to the board. So you'll see an overview on one of the slides of the 8 steps to our process. I'm not going to go through that because we just talked about it. And then much like some of the other search firms, we do have guarantees. We will continue to bring candidates forward until you say you have found the right one. And if we don't do that by the end of the year and you want to go a different way, then we will come back and do it all over again just for the expenses. Again, within the first 24 months, if they are dismissed or leave for any reason, we will also do that at no additional charge. And then lastly, we will not recruit any of the people that you would hire from us within the first 2 contracts. So it could be 6 years, it could be 8 years. So now we will open up for questions. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. I do. We do.
Yes, we do.
Can I speak to that? No, it's a fair question. First of all, one of the great advantages for us is one of the best professional development I can get as a superintendent, is why I do it, which is why our board presidents support it and our board support this. Secondly, I have vacation days. Kelly has vacation days. We work tirelessly. When I don't use my vacation days all in a year. I don't. So I would never, ever jeopardize my job or my community I serve for another district. I know where my role is, and I know what I can do, and Kelly knows what she can do and she can't do. But I also find enjoyment and pleasure in this. So when I take a vacation day that I'm not using already, I enjoy doing these things. I enjoy talking to community. I enjoy listening to boards and talking to boards and learning from you. And I can bring back to my board and say, hey, did you think of this? Have we done this? I mean, the competency-based things that I'm learning from my interactions with Danny over the years is unbelievable. It's invaluable. So those are the things. That's why. And we would never take on a job if we can't do it, period.
And I'm in a similar position as Dr. Schimpf. I would say that I don't take vacation days. I prefer to use them in this regard. I'm an empty nester. This gives me a greater purpose. Additionally, I just think there's something to be said about continuing to grow our field and our profession. And so it's another avenue for service that I think is really important.
And I think you guys would enjoy interaction with us. I do. And it has to be a good experience. It does. And
Yes.
You have to enjoy this. It's hard. You will also be putting a lot of hours in. And we have to be able to get along. We have to, and I think that we'll have a different understanding about current realities than maybe some of the other search firms. I don't know that, but I'm going to presume in some of them.
Have any questions? Okay,
Thank you for your time, and
Thank you.
thank you for all you are doing, and hang in there.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
Next, we'll be moving on to a virtual presentation by the Illinois Association of School Boards. They'll be joining us via virtual. Dr. Weisman, are they available?
On there, I think.
Is Patricia joining us? Oh,
You hear us, Dr. Vineyard?
Dr. Vineyard, can you hear us?
Hi, this is Al Mulby. Dr. Vineyard's not going to be able to join us tonight. She's presenting in another district, and so she asked if I would be able to present to you and answer questions that you might have. I think she provided you all of our material ahead of time.
She did. She did provide the material, and I'm sorry for calling you Dr.
Oh,
Sullivan.
no, that's okay. No problem. No problem.
Would you like to present anything first, or would you just like to take questions from us?
Well, if you have all of our material, I could just do a real quick overview and then take questions from you. That would probably be a good way to go. Just want to let you know about how we proceed through a process working with the board. We're your association, obviously, and we've been doing superintendent searches for districts throughout Illinois for over 50 years. We're actually the market leader. We conduct about a fourth of all of the searches in the state that are done by somebody other than a school board by themselves. And so we feel like we're pretty competitive as far as what we provide to districts, not only in terms of the process and the quality of the process, but also in terms of the cost. We also know that it's definitely a fiscal decision on your part. And so that's why we feel that what we do for our members, for our member districts is a real benefit. Again, my name is Al Mulby. I've been with the association for 7 years now doing superintendent searches. I'm a retired superintendent, as is Dr. Vineyard, my colleague. And I was in Cook County as a superintendent for 15 years. And Dr. Vineyard was in suburban Cook County as well as a superintendent for 7 years. So we work together primarily in the northern part of the state, working with districts in not only the suburban area, but also throughout the northern part of the state. We also have colleagues that work out of the Springfield office. So together we serve the districts in Illinois. We only serve districts in Illinois as far as doing searches, but we draw candidates from all across the country. We have a very strong nationwide presence in terms of candidates that are interested in coming or relocating to Illinois. One of the first places they look for vacancies is on our website and on IASA's website. So we're very active in terms of not only throughout the state, but also being able to tap candidates from across the country who might be interested in coming to your district. We've been doing this for, like I said, over 50 years as an organization, and the material that I believe that Dr. Vineyard sent to you regarding the process itself is very similar to the same process that other firms have spoken to you about tonight, although we feel that we have a unique connection to districts because we're your association. And as a former superintendent, I know the importance of not only the process itself, but the success after that new superintendent takes over. And we want to make sure that that is a successful transition and a successful relationship as you proceed through it. I think that we have what's been provided to you is a breakdown of our service. We have a basic fee based on enrollment, and then we have additional services that we recommend or we provide for boards to choose to include as part of the process. The initial part of the process is developing the profile through surveys of community stakeholders and interviews with board members themselves. Should you want to do focus groups, we would certainly be able to get those going as soon as possible. We would schedule first a planning meeting with you as a board if you were to decide to go with us, so we could put all the details in place as far as the specifics of a timeline and also the specifics of these focus meetings and profile development. in putting together the announcement of vacancy. We have a very broad reach as far as promoting vacancies. We're linked to job sites through many different educational organizations nationwide, where we promote the vacancies that we're working with. We keep the application open for approximately 4 to 5 weeks, but we would try to expedite everything along the way as best we could. We screen the candidates very thoroughly. We don't conduct a criminal background check, but we do thorough background inquiries. We're not allowed to by law, since we're not the hiring agency, to do that, but we can certainly refer you to very quality background check organizations if you don't already work with one as well. We advertise through a variety of different job sites, and that's what draws the candidates to us. Following the screening interviews, of which we would screen probably the top 15 to 20 candidates, we would narrow that down to a slate of most likely 6 or 7 that we would bring to you to conduct your initial interviews. We would work with you in the interviewing logistics and developing the interview process as well to assist you in that. And we would also then work with you in the final interview piece as far as helping you through that process as well. So if you were to choose to work with us, I think having another meeting very quickly to get the ball rolling would be ideal, obviously, and we would certainly appreciate the opportunity to work with you. I know that's a real quick overview of the material that she provided to you, but I certainly would be happy to answer any questions that you would have.
Does anyone have any questions? I did, just for your reference, if needed, I did just share their proposal yet again to you. So it would be your newest email if you would like to look at it again.
I believe in the proposal that she provided, it had our basic search fee, and then one recommended additional option, which would be the focus group piece, would be the assisting with the interviews at the end, with the final interviews, and helping to conduct stakeholder group interviews at that point. I would also suggest probably recommending the focus group piece at the beginning. I think that's an important part of the profile development too, but that's certainly a board option as well.
Mr. Mobley, I do have one question just as a follow-up in
Sure.
regards to what your current workload necessarily would look like in regards to taking on another district of our size and demographic for the spring.
I think that's a good question, and we generally try to divide up the workload, so to speak, amongst all of our consultants throughout the state. But I think that right now we're coming to the close of a couple of searches that are pretty decent size in the suburban area. And we're both currently working on I think she's working on 3 additional searches of smaller size, as am I. And so I think taking on a district your size would certainly be a welcome addition to our responsibilities. And I don't think that would be, we realize that time is of the essence here, and we certainly would be able to expedite it, and we would work together and probably involve another consultant out of our Springfield office as well to assist in the process as well. So we would make sure that everything would be done in a timely fashion, and it would be a seamless process. We do a very comprehensive search, and I think that a district your size would be certainly a welcome part of what we do.
Does anyone else on the board have any questions? Okay, thank you, Dr. Mobley, for joining us this evening. I appreciate you pinch hitting for Patricia, and I appreciate you spending your time with us.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you being able to be a part of our process, and look forward to working with you if that were to be the case, and best of luck to you. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you. And the fifth and last proposal that we are hearing this evening
but not least,
is,
right?
yep, is from BWP. We apologize for our slight running a little bit late, but
No.
appreciate you
Great.
waiting a few extra minutes. The floor will be yours for a 10-minute presentation and, a couple minutes for follow-up questions if necessary.
Kind of hoping Pam would have some donuts for us.
Oh, we have applesauce.
Oh.
We have applesauce.
The last time we were here, we were doing trainings on a Saturday morning and Pam just fed us well every time we were here. So thank you again for all that. You prefer mask down, or is it easier that way for you to hear, or does it matter?
Take them down if you would like, but if you could please
Whatever
use your
the easiest.
microphones, that would be helpful since we are presenting this virtually.
Great. Okay, so Joe, do you want to start and introduce yourself? And
Sure.
then we'll walk you through a little bit and answer.
My
questions.
name's Joe Porto. I am a partner in BWP and Associates. I'm a retired school superintendent after a 33-year career. My last 16 years were as a superintendent. My two districts were in the western suburbs in Burr Ridge and in the northern suburbs of Chicago and Wilmette. Since retirement, I've been doing two kinds of consulting. One is this with BWP searches. The other is consulting with regard to facilitating strategic plans. So I've been quite active since retirement, and we look forward to sharing some ideas with you tonight.
And we have our other partner. There she is on screen, Dawn Green. And Dawn, like to introduce yourself?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dawn Green, and I am also with BWP and Associates. I am a retired superintendent from around the DeKalb area, and then I went to Palos Heights in the south suburbs. So I was in Somonauk, if you know where that's at, by Sandwich, these towns that maybe you have or have not heard of, but great places. And so I was a superintendent for about 10 years and have recently retired and helping out, doing searches. And I don't know, this is about my, dozen times that I've participated, and I love helping boards find people for one of the biggest jobs that you will ever undertake here. So especially in these times. So thank you for having us this evening.
And I'm Mark Friedman. I'm president of BWP and Associates, retired superintendent, 17 years in Libertyville, and then post-retirement, 4 interim superintendent jobs. So all told, a little over 20 years of experience as superintendent. And we bring all of us to the table 40 plus years of superintendent experience to help you on your adventure as you select your next superintendent. As some of you know, I see some familiar faces. We were involved the last time you conducted a superintendent search, and then we were involved in follow-up board training, which we really enjoyed. I thought that worked out really well. Tonight, we're going to assume that nobody knows anything. And for those who are new, we're going to walk you through really quickly our handouts and then give us time for a couple of questions. We're very cognizant of the time. Thank you, Allison, for pointing that out in your email. You've got 10 minutes. We're going to do that in 10 minutes. So the most important thing is this packet that we gave you really outlines the steps of the search. The search is not all that different. The search steps are usually pretty similar from group to group. So as you've heard others present tonight, you're going to hear about focus groups. You're going to hear about doing profile reports. We do all of those. If you look and flip through quickly, you'll see the history of BWP and Associates. We've been around since 2006, and we've done hundreds of searches. Personally, I've done close to 150 searches. So when you add Joe and you add Dawn to the mix, we're knocking on the door to 200 searches that we've done, not just superintendent, but all levels of administration in school districts. We are active in Illinois, and we're active nationally. We have a little handout in your packet that kind of lists some of the most recent things. We're very proud that we were the search firm selected in a competition to do the search for the new Chicago Public Schools superintendent. And we completed that in August. And you've now seen him in the news a lot lately. And he's had a tough job to do, like any superintendent in any district, but we're very proud of the process that we went through. Hundreds of groups and individuals and input, and we were picked to do that. So there's 9 partners in our organization. We have a 9-step process. The search process has 3 phases. Steps 1, 2, 3 in the first phase starts with the planning meeting. Then we do the postings. We assemble applicants from all over the country. We are a national search firm. So we do not limit ourselves to just folks who are local. That's a real important piece when it comes to a declining applicant pool. And there was a big story in the news yesterday and today about the shortage of teachers, and it's also reflected on the shortage of administrators. So we have a really big and a strong reach outside the area. Second phase, steps 4 through 6, we recruit candidates, we screen the candidates, we present to you the best candidates for you to interview. We'll train you in interviewing skills and processes. Some of you have done it on your jobs and at home. We're going to send you through a process that'll make you feel comfortable and prepared to do those next interviews. And then we'll help you walk through those last stages, finalist interviews, sample questions. We'll be there for everything that you need. We're work for you, and we'll be a partner in this whole process. We won't stand off on the side and say, all right, that's yours, that's yours, that's yours. We're going to be there for everything. And we'll work closely with the district as we did the last time. We got to know Pam really well because we established that relationship with the search firm and the district. It's really critical for the success of this process. And our track record, we have a database. One of our partners, Glenn Schlichting, who's a professor at Concordia, he is tracking information and these numbers on our track record. 98% of the candidates placed completed a minimum of 3 successful years. 95% were offered successor contracts. All those things, they're backed by fact and data. And we're really proud of that. And we get to go out and say all those good things because we have the information to back it up. The guarantee, we will stand behind every search that we do. There is nothing that we won't do to help you to make sure and ensure that it's successful. We'll be back mentoring. Joe is really good at that. Joe spends a lot of time mentoring new superintendents. And our fees are listed there. They're pretty minimal. There are no real add-ons. What you see is what you get. There's no, hey, we need $5,000 more for this and 10 for that. So really, we went through that quickly, and we want to piggyback on that with this one sheet that says, why us? Because that's really the question that you're going to ask. You've seen other presentations. Why do we want you over the others? And rather than go through every single one, we love to highlight a few, and we'll leave this with you so you can think through this. First of all, the members of our team are familiar with Belvedere schools. That's for sure. A number of our search team completed searches exceeds the number by anyone. And we aren't talking about comparing us to the other people you talked to tonight. We just know that we are. We thought that the workshop we conducted with the board members to prepare for interviews is one that we get rave reviews about. You prepare us so well, you help us with the questions, you give us all the information we need so that when we undertake those interviews, we feel really comfortable. And we're tracking that data again, just like we are with the satisfaction ratings that superintendents and boards give us. Our process is flexible. We can tweak it. If you want us to do something different, we work for you, we'll do something different. We'll collaborate on things. We don't have all the answers. So if there's something that you would like us to do, we're open to that. Our process also can be tweaked based upon COVID needs. We'll do remote, we'll do hybrid, we'll do in-person, we'll do a combination, you name it, we've done it. We just completed a search in Des Plaines, just a couple, right before the break. They did all of their search processes remote, except for their interviews. All the interviews, and we kind of all agreed, need to see the candidates in person. So we did all the other stuff remotely, and then all the person-to-person stuff worked out really, really well. They were very happy with that. Our team members are really networked in many professional organizations, and that's where you make your contacts. I sat in on a seminar through LinkedIn today, and the highlight of how do you know about jobs, find jobs, the most important thing is how well networked you are. 80% of people who are in the job market feel that networking is the number one thing to help them connect on a new job. So we feel that we take it to the nth degree. We were the first superintendent, we were the first organization to have superintendent and board mentoring, and we continue to do that. And again, we've had some positive contact within this district. The very last thing, Joe, I don't know if you want to highlight, or Dawn, you want to highlight some of the searches that we've done in the area. And just, we're not going to go through the whole list. We want you to keep that and look at it and remind yourself, hey, these guys are really out there, and guys and girls are out there in the market. And we've done some spectacular searches that are very equivalent to Belvedere School District.
You did good. 10 minutes right on the dot.
Feeling the pressure.
Anytime we have left, I'd rather.
Did you turn those lights on?
I'd rather have some questions. If,
In school again, you have to do it 10 minutes and no longer.
yeah.
Well, that's why, we wanted to come in person, and we wanted, even though we know several of you, we wanted to meet the other board members in person. And it's a little bit easier to have those exchanges in person than it is, via a virtual connection. Although Dawn looks great virtually. Pink outfit looks good on you,
I give you
Dawn.
credit for being, going through 5 and being right on time.
Yeah, yeah.
I was at a district last night that we were the second group out of 5 to present. We were just the second group. They were already a half hour behind. So I'm good job.
Yeah.
It makes us focus.
You did your homework. Yeah.
Were there any questions that we can answer for you?
Yeah, I have a question that's specifically related to some things that others said, and that was that they had some diversity forward initiatives. They have our female forward in their searches, and have had success both with minority candidates and with the number of women candidates. And I'm just wondering what your experience there is and what you're seeing in that particular area as to people being drawn to work with you from diverse backgrounds, cultures.
But we are the diverse group. We are the diverse organization. Our managing partner is a minority. 40% of our partners are female and minority. We place minority candidates pretty much all over the country. We don't even think about it. It's just a natural for us. I'm glad you brought it up, because I would have highlighted it, but we think most people know us. We're the group that brings in a diverse slate everywhere. And so we don't have an initiative. That's just part of how we do business. And it's actually the truth. We're not making that, seem like, oh yeah, well, we didn't cover it, so we got to, cover ourselves.
I think
with
we're
that.
really good at it, again, through another strength that Mark mentioned, and that's the networking that we just excel at in our district. Soon as we get a search, the network starts. And it's not just the 3 of us, it's the whole organization. And because we're a diverse organization, our network is diverse. Really glad you asked that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good question. Yeah. Please hump us with any
Anything
tough
else?
questions, anything.
I have a question in regards to it probably two different areas within your search is developing the profile that you use to find candidates. How do you develop your profiles differently than, let's say, we've heard four other search firms this evening? And do you do surveys? Do you, how do you get out there and let people know? Because I know surveys, like parents and community members are kind of like, okay, yep, we're surveyed out. We've answered a bunch of COVID survey. So how do you approach that to get a really good profile of Belvedere? We're very different than we were 6 years ago, but we have a lot of similarities as well.
Sure.
So how do you go about doing that may be different from other firms?
I'm going to go. Well, first of all, we don't use just one tool to make that, to come up with that profile. So yes, we offer a survey and we offer in multiple languages and all of that. That's one component. And we use a third party. That's something that we're really happy because we use a survey person in South Carolina so that no one could say, well, you guys just put that survey together and you made it come out the way you want it. No, we have a third party. We don't influence it. She delivers the results. We use her results to build a profile. Then we do the one-to-one phone call to each of you. So each board member gets a one-to-one interview with one of the search team members. So we add that to the mix. Then we do, whether we do virtual or we do in person. The last time we did in person stakeholder meetings. And what we're finding is we get more virtual participation than we get in-person participation. And we've noticed this trend. We've talked to some of our competitor firms too, and they're saying they see the same thing. So we get those three pieces. We merge the results of those three pieces into one profile with three separate components. And it gives the board members a chance to see, oh, okay, now I see where this is coming from. And we rank order specific skill sets. And that is really helpful when you're going to use that profile to help you screen the candidates and to determine who's the best match for you. That will come in very handy. So it's a three-pronged approach.
And the only thing I would add is, that was a great question, but to me, it's only half a question. The second part is not just how do you create it, how do you use it? And we think that profile is the key element of a successful search. We use it for everything, for our recruiting, formally and informally, for developing our screening questions and evaluating the candidates. We'll in our training with you, we'll help you use it to develop your questions. And it will also be the driving force of an evaluation form that we'll help you with. So that creating that profile is one thing. And then really making it a main part of the search is a double powerful tool.
Good question.
I know you guys do.
I think I remember you.
I remember you.
Mhm.
I remember you from the focus groups.
Our memory's not that good.
I think looking at your word, that probably has a lot of things. It could go good. Whatever. What advantage do you think you have being the search firm the last time? And what challenges does that bring on? Things may be different now than they were back. They may not be that much different. Maybe the demographics are different. Needs may be different. I don't know. I mean, I guess you have to find out who the focus group. I guess I was looking at what advantages would you perceive that would have?
Colleagues?
I think the advantage is that, there's already a lot of knowledge there, right? And some, like you said, some things are similar, but then the disadvantage is that we don't focus on what were the priorities 6 years ago, but what are the focus, what are the priorities today? And, Joe and Mark are both correct in that when we interview candidates, sometimes we have just on paper, outstanding candidates who have been, experienced superintendents and have all kinds of accolades. But we always go back to that profile and say, but that's not what this district is looking for. That's not what they are saying is important to them. So I think the knowledge from 6 years ago is both a good thing, and we would just have to be careful not to go back to what were the priorities then and stay focused on the priorities now.
Well said.
Yeah, it was well said.
Good questions. Anything else?
Else have any questions?
Too easy on us.
Well, obviously, we would love to come back and work with you again.
Catching us at a good time too, because we're not loaded down. Again, we're retired, but we don't drive a golf cart around the neighborhood. We keep pretty busy. And timing is just perfect. We have minimal other distractions. And so, my car knows the way here. It was an easy ride tonight.
Thanks. Good luck with your decision.
Thank you, Allison, for organizing this.
For coming, and we
to
hope
see
to make a decision this evening.
Oh, okay.
Oh, all right.
Hopefully we left you with the lasting impression being the last.
Before we get up those stairs, if you have one last question, we'll try and answer those for you. I can't remember if the room changed a little bit or not. I think it looks a little different.
Pictures are different.
Yeah,
The walls are a little different. We've added different items on the walls. But
Okay, great.
Thank you.
So much. Good to see you again.
Last time I saw you, you had affairs during our workshop. Yeah.
At this time, we'll be moving, thank you. At this time, we'll be moving on to public comment. Individuals who submitted comments via email will be read. We have not received any comments via email, so none will be read. As a reminder, this is a professional business meeting, and as such, all attendees, from board members to speakers to public attendees, are reminded to conduct themselves professionally and refrain from the use of profanity, unprofessional language, and/or verbal or personally directed attacks. Verbal comments from the public are restricted to those being delivered during an individual's public comment as indicated on the board agenda. Unsolicited verbal comments, outbursts, and profanity and physical disruptions directed at members of the Board of Education, the superintendent, administrators, and/or audience members is not allowed and will not be tolerated. If such an occurrence occurs, a verbal warning will be given by the president. If an individual is identified as a continued disruption during the board meeting, the individual or individuals may be asked to leave the meeting. If necessary, the president or superintendent may request the assistance of law enforcement to escort the individual from the building. Per board policy 2230, the board must allow for a minimum of 30 minutes of public comment and 20 minutes minimum total length of time for any one subject. We reach 30 minutes on any given topic this evening, and we request an end to public comment. In order to give the maximum number of people an opportunity to speak, please limit your comments to 3 minutes, and all comments provided to the Board of Education via email, which we have none this evening, would be included in the board packet. I have one person that has volunteered to speak or asked to speak. Misty.
They left an impression last time, apparently.
Misty Croyel will be
Croyel,
speaking
yes.
regarding the new superintendent search.
Yeah, it came as a shock to me to get that email, and I'm so unprepared for this. I only found out about this meeting right after a conversation I had with Dr. Carson today. So I think this is long past due, right? My experience in coming to these board meetings and starting to get involved with this, I'm recognizing the commitment and the dedication that this board has to the service of the community and more specifically our children. I think that every decision, looking at it, is made with the best intentions for for our kids, right? And of course, that's what we all want, is we all want what's best for our children. And hope this is going to come out right. So I know that there were some heated discussions with regard to, and this is not about that subject, but I know there were some heated discussions with regard to the grading system, and that we've made some decisions to make some changes there. And all I want to say is I want to make sure, and it probably doesn't even need to be said, but I just want to make sure that as we're going through this search, right, that the firm that we are going to come under contract, right, that it aligns with the vision of what we have for the changes that we're hoping for, right, for our students. And then more specifically with the candidate that comes in, that they're open to that collaboration and the need to hear the students, right, and seek that feedback and understand what their needs are. We need to be coming at it from their perspective, not what's best for the adults in the situation, but what is the best for our students. How are we going to make them successful? And I think we need to keep that in mind all the time. Not that we haven't been, but I think sometimes that gets overlooked a little based on some goals that might be out there. And we always need to be coming back to that. So I just want to make sure that whoever we're contracting to find the candidate, and then whoever we're, seeking to fill that role, is ready for that. Because I think it's going to be a big undertaking, right? To make sure that everybody can stay in communication and, get aligned towards that same goal. That's all I wanted to say.
Royale. And thank you for being the lone individual at our meeting this evening. Next, we'll move on to roll call action items. Do I have a motion regarding superintendent search firm contract? We could also have discussion prior to making the motion if you would prefer. Okay. Does anyone on the board need a reference copy for any of the proposals that we received? Okay. Anyone like to start?
Well, I'm not sure if it's blinking, so I'm not sure if it's on or it's not on. Yeah. I eliminated 3 in my mind throughout the course of the conversation, the presentations. While I appreciated them all, so I'm not really sure how this is supposed to work as far as what we say or we don't say. But for me, I would focus then just on the 2 that were more of a standout for me. Although I don't see any situation tonight under which I couldn't be okay with whatever as the consensus we thought was there. But I liked a great deal of what Educational Leadership Solutions had to say, and then
Anything specifically you'd like to add in regards to why they may have been your 2 top?
Yeah, I'll just try to talk loud. So yes, I liked, while it was the 3rd company, School Exec Connect, that sort of officially dipped its toe in the water of the being diversity forward, that matters. To me, I think it's important that they have that mindset. Not that we need to have, specific, but I just think it's important that matter to them, that tells me about the net that they are casting, the way in which they approach the process. And I felt like I was impressed by the fact that Educational Leadership Solutions knew our vision statement. Like he just knew it cold. And I was a little bit taken aback, if you will, when HYA said, well, how big is your district? I would want you to know that. I kind of want you to know that coming in. I appreciated that BWP acknowledged both the pro and the con of having been here before, because our needs are different or may look different going forward. And I liked that they drilled down on the fact that kind of part 2 maybe of what it would have been of Allison's question, which was that they don't produce the survey for the purpose of the survey production, but for its implementation. And I like that. If there was one, I mean, I'm data driven. So skipping back to educational leadership, you know, they said they tell a story with data. I think that I like that they said that. I didn't love the fact that the salary analysis is extra. I feel like that's sort of just a cost of doing business to them. You want to have an idea of what kind of salary we should be offering, and I don't want to have to pay you more money necessarily to tell me, to guide me in that way. But those were sort of my thoughts on those two and why they were standouts to me.
Thank you. Would anyone like to go next? Would you like a few minutes to look through it, maybe, or look through your notes?
Yeah, I'm still looking for my notes. so
Okay.
take a few
We'll
minutes
take
to-
a few minutes to look through our notes.
Well, you guys. I like school executive. Obviously, somehow Jen's energy. I think it's important that we find somebody just because I like them doesn't fix them. So I think you have to look at picking, are these persons you feel comfortable working with as we move along? And, you know, they have different opinions. Good minds on that. Or reflect on anybody else, including the other team. EWP, I actually interviewed them, so I have interesting feelings on those things for a lot of reasons. What I almost defer to the people who did it before, I was one of them. You feel the quality of candidates brought to you, not the same thing. But were the quality of candidates that you expected when they brought it to you? I think you had a chance to see what they brought the last time. Is it what you expected and it wanted? ISAB, personally, think that we got a sub today and it's no disrespect to them at all. You did an admirable job presenting. I'm not sure how vested they're going to be.
Too many irons in the fire. I like that.
My opinion. Had leadership or educational leadership solution. Honestly, I thought they did a wonderful job of presentation. Not sure, because it's hard to tell because they weren't here. So it makes it a little more difficult to compare. Honestly, I looked at them and said, you know what? Got nothing against ISB. When it comes to doing a strategic plan, I'd really like to work with them. I don't know if I want to on this search for the superintendent, but on strategic planning, a couple of those aside, I really thought maybe that's something we could.
I really did like, School Exec Connect. And based on them on paper, I kind of came in maybe thinking they might have been a front runner for me. I do have significant concerns about how thinly they are spread. They're conducting 8 searches currently. They're both busy, they're all 3, the one that wasn't able to be here, are all busy superintendents themselves. So that was really the only thing that sort of for me tipped it in the scale of, are they going to help?
Okay, so my top 2 were school exec and BWP. I also like educational leadership, but so it sounds like we're all kind of spoke so far on the same page here. But yeah, I don't know. I think based off last time too, I like when they're here and you're able to see their personalities and you can feel comfortable with them. I felt that way with both of them. I thought school exec was casual and maybe, you're going to be able to chat with them and get into the root of things. But I think if I